We're in the midst of an epidemic of anxiety and depression. I've always tried to keep up with our clients and walk our clients through the grief and depression and anxiety that comes with losing a loved one or having their lives changed in a substantial way. But what's happening is way out of proportion, and it's mushroomed out of control in our society. All you have to do is look at the opioid crisis to know that. So I try to keep up and I try to read. And I've come across a book that I loved and that I think might be a game changer. The book is called Lost Connections. It's a book by a man named Johann Hari. And I think that it might actually be a game changer when it comes to dealing with mental health issues. So we have been taught that we have pain from anxiety and depression because our brains are broken, for lack of a better term. This is simply not true. We have pain because our brains are working properly. The pain is an indication that there's a problem in our lives, not in our brains. In fact, the scale that's used to judge depression is called the Hamilton scale. And what the studies have shown is that the pills that we take will improve us on an average of 2 points on that scale. But if we improve our sleep schedules, it's been shown to improve us as much as 6 points on that scale. I guess what I'm really saying is that while pills can help us, if we help each other change how we live, that has the potential to be a far greater antidepressant than any pill we could ever take. The book tells a story about a rice farmer in Cambodia who was picking rice in the fields and stepped on a landmine that had been left over in the fields. The landmine blew up and he lost his leg. They gave the man a prosthetic leg at the hospital and they put him back to work in the fields, which was the job that he knew. The man was inconsolable. The elders of his village got together and they decided to provide the man with a cow so that he could make money providing milk instead of picking rice. Do we really think that giving that man a pill and sending him back into the fields would have made him happy? No, the man needed a change in his life. And the elders of the village provided him with that opportunity to change his life. The key to the success of the cow story is that the community looked at the man and helped him solve his problem. They didn't look at the man and say it was his problem. They looked at the problem and said, this is our problem. And they helped come up with a solution. Here in the United States, we're taught that it all begins with you, that you are responsible for you, that one man can make a difference, that we get to the top of the mountain by ourselves. So as I look back at the cow story in the United States, it would be, I have my own problems. I never asked for help, and I've dealt with my problems. I feel bad for the man who lost his leg, but he's got to fix his own problems. He's got to find his own way to be happy. This thinking leaves me and the man who lost his leg isolated from each other. Him to deal with his problems, me to deal with my problems. I see this isolation in my clients all the time. People have been horribly disfigured or horribly injured by the negligence of a hospital or a medical provider. They lose a loved one because of it. And at first, people come to them and they give them their condolences. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Please accept my condolences for your loss. But then those people abandon the people that are injured, the people that are hurt. Up on the screen, you're going to see a picture of a man. If you show this picture to anyone in the United States, or to most people in the United States, they're going to tell you that they see a man giving a speech. They're going to see the individual first and the group second. That's the way our society is set up. The individual is primary, the group is secondary. The pull of our culture is so strong in terms of this individualistic ideal that when I was reading this book, I kept thinking this is baloney. That if we really want to make ourselves happier, we can. All we have to do is choose to make ourselves happier. Until I came to a study in the book that looked at exactly that. So a study was done in which the goal of the scientists was to find out if people can make a conscious decision to make themselves happier, and if making that conscious decision will actually work. What they found is that if you don't live in the United States or Britain, you live in the other countries that were studied, you can actually do that. Why? Because outside of the United States, when people make that conscious decision to say, I'm going to be happier, they get involved in their communities. They do things for other people. They reach out and help others. And when they do that, they fix the social isolation that was making them unhappy to begin with. In the United States, people decide to be happy and they turn inward. They turn inward to themselves and away from other people. In the United States, people go to work on themselves. They go to the gym by themselves. They wear headphones when they're at the gym to be by themselves. All of those things to work on us individually, and they ignore the social component. And for a time, this works. The biological, taking the pills, and the psychological, making the decision to make yourself better, takes hold, and you feel better for a time. But unless we fix the social component, the isolation that helped put us where we were to begin with, the biological and the psychological will not last long term, and we'll be back in the same position that we were. As a people, we are tribal. We have been tribal for millions of years. We're not going to change that overnight. We need connection. We need each other. We need to know that we belong to something that's bigger than ourselves. We are each other's antidepressant. Being with people who have similar interests and working on a common cause helps heal the anxiety and the depression and the social isolation that put us there in the first place. Hari tells a marvelous story about a medical clinic in England that as you walk in the door, you have two choices. You can go to the right and see a physician, or you can go to the left and you can sign up for one of over 100 different organizations and clubs. In fact, if you turn to go to the right and you see a doctor and your problem is anxiety and depression, part of what they will prescribe you is to belong and become part of one of those clubs. What this clinic in England is doing is making people feel like they're part of something that's bigger than themselves. That we live in a culture that pulls us back from that, that tells us the most important thing is ourself, not other people. So by forcing the patients and forcing the people to become involved with other people who have similar interests, they're eliminating that social isolation, and they're helping people get over this problem. To get over our problem of anxiety, the truth is we have to do exactly the opposite of what our culture calls for us to do. When we're anxious and depressed, we actually need to turn outward toward each other instead of inward toward ourselves. We need a group of people with similar interests. We need to be outside in nature instead of inside with our own thoughts. We need to help other people and let other people help us. Because by helping other people, we're actually helping ourselves. Lost connections doesn't make any new or unique or groundbreaking findings. The things that it talks about have been with us all along. But what it did for me is it was a really good reminder that everything's not about me. There's plenty of evidence that we are happier when we're together than we are when we're apart. If you think about addiction in the United States, the most successful program, probably in the history of the world, is Alcoholics Anonymous. And that program is built on the idea that we will heal ourselves by healing each other. The other thing that is remarkable is that the most successful weight loss program in the United States is from Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers, at its core, is built on the idea of classes and people that get together and work through their problems themselves. And the people that go to the classes are the ones that lose the weight and the ones that keep it off. It's built on the idea of group participation. We have to fight against the idea that it's all on our shoulders, that we have to carry the weight alone. And when we do that, we're gonna be less anxious. We're gonna be less depressed. By connecting, we can change our culture so that when you look at this picture, you see a group of people learning, not one person teaching. We can change our culture to say that one great idea shared together can make a difference. That no one gets to the top of the mountain without help. That success or failure doesn't happen alone. That getting help is a strength, not a weakness. That giving help is a strength, not a weakness. That if we keep grinding together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Please, I invite you, read the book, share your comments below, or just share your comments on how helpful this information has been. I'm making these videos to share my journey, to show how that in my experience, our why determines everything in our lives, whether we want it to or not. My why is to make things better. And I hope that the people who are watching this take away something that they can use in their own journey to help themselves. I'll be putting these videos out on a regular basis, and if they're helpful to you, please consider giving us a like or subscribe. You can find these videos here on this channel, or you can find a link to them on our website at caseyinjury.com. Thanks for watching, and be well.